I don't know if you're familiar with my spiel about hidden gems, like finding hidden gems. Um, so what I like to ask people is, what are your hidden gems in life? So either, again, it could be any broad, like a person, a concept, a book, anything that you found on like, I am surprised that like millions of people don't know about this. So tell me about your hidden gems in life, and why do you think they're hidden to begin with?
Yeah. This is the first one where I'm like, oh, I got something like right off the bat. So 2020, many of us went through some really crazy stuff. And I call my time the great Band-Aid rip of 2020, because my business shutting down, personal bankruptcy, getting sued by someone, all my tenants quitting paying rent because they knew we couldn't kick them out, all happened in like an 8-day period. So it was like, whew, the Band-Aid was ripped.
Right.
So I literally went out into the forest with a big whiteboard, a book, and myself to try and find myself, start over, see what was important to me, see what I should get rid of that wasn't working for me or what didn't make me fulfilled. And I got a lot of little personal epiphanies in there. Came out, and I call this a hidden gem because I never thought of it, and it was not plain to me. I came out and I'm like, what do I know? I know storytelling, I know video, and then all the digital that supports it. I'm a designer of 20 years, all this stuff. So I know I can make anything on a screen help tell that story. So like, okay, what are we going to do here? And the work I was doing fell within that. It was just work that I didn't want to be doing, and it did not fulfill me. So as I'm thinking about that, I'm like having these random thoughts and just writing them on paper for several weeks straight while I'm out in the forest, just like, don't even think about it, write it. And one of them was like, I never give advice unless it's on video or storytelling. I give thought-provoking questions and say, maybe you could think about it like this. Or I say, this is how I do it. And I'm not saying do it my way, but I just want to try and conjure something up. But advice, filmmaking, video, and story, like that's it. And I'm like, I really want to broaden the advice I can give. I want to master something else to now give advice and feel good about it. Then I thought, I don't want to master something new, right? So there's like this little conflict happening. And as I went back through my notes after I left the forest, came home, looking back on my notes, I randomly segmented 28 people off my email list, which was not a huge list. And these are all like people I knew. They knew what I was going through. I knew them pretty well. So colleagues, other entrepreneurs, mentors, mentees, different people I've worked with that I trust to some certain level. And I said, hey, as many of you know, this is what I'm going through. And I just want to let you guys know to keep me in top of mind, because no matter what I end up doing, it's still going to be around story or video. So keep me top of mind. I also don't want to ask without giving. So you guys know my skill set. If you need anything, especially a quick win I can knock out that I would normally charge for, but I can do for free and quick for you now, let me know so we can keep that scale balanced. And the response was incredible. People talked about, they were brought to tears because I was just vulnerable and saying, this is where I'm at and I lost everything, but I'm starting over and I want to keep the scales balanced, all the way to Dawn, who's not inexpensive, coached me for free during that kind of starting over phase because she wanted to contribute somehow. And some of that coaching set me on some incredible paths, So the response was incredible. And because it was incredible, I wrote them again. And I said, hey, as I'm developing who I want to work with and being more picky, as I'm reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm starting over, this is what I'm thinking of doing. If a journalist came along and said, you know that Dan Bennett guy, right? And you were like, yeah, I do. And they said, what would you say his superpower is? What would you tell them? And I sent that email out. And out of 30 people, like 22 responded and 12 said the same thing in a different version. And that thing was, I would tell them that your voice, the way you educate, the way you interact with me makes me feel so calm and just safe. And like I can trust you, and that even though this video thing might be scary or putting myself out there might be scary, I can trust you and you're here for me. You got my back. And it was like, I've never thought of that as a superpower of mine in my life. And now 12 people have all said the same thing out of a 30-person group. Like that's pretty powerful. And what that led to has served me so well in the last year and a half, 2 years, that now I share it as a piece of advice. I feel comfortable enough saying it that I can trust in it, that it's going to work for other people too. And it's super simple. Talk about what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Share with the world what you're trying to do. It could be an idea. It could be, I'm trying to get more digital leads in my business, but I don't want to be slimy about it. Talk about what you're trying to do. Humans in general want to help, and entrepreneurs especially so. So as I've shared what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to launch, I would love to build a community. I don't know where to start. Whatever the case was on the timeline, help shows up, doors open, introductions are made, and I never ask for any of it. I just talk about what I'm doing. So for me, this has unlocked so much, and it was this hidden gem. It was in front of me my whole life, and I never took advantage of it until now. Now, I always talk about what I'm up to, what I'm trying to do, that I'm open for help, and that I give help in return very freely. And some incredible things have happened. So that's my gem. What's next?
So two follow-up questions on that. Why are they hidden to begin with? So why did it take you so long to see this, that you can just simply ask people, tell people, what am I trying to do? And number two, why didn't you see that in yourself, that you make people calmer?
Just writing this down because I want to tackle them well. So why hidden is something that I kind of projected onto society as a whole and then accepted for myself after doing so. So when I thought, because I've had these exact thoughts, why is this hidden? Why did I never do this? Why was this like right in plain sight? And I never did anything about it. I thought, well, why don't people share what they're doing? Oh, they don't want to say, hey, I'm thinking about launching a podcast and I want to do it the right way, da, 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 da. And then they never launch it. And they think that everyone they told is like, what a loser. They never even did it. How dare they? Or I'm launching this thing. This is what I'm trying to do. And then you launch it and the literal thing fails. So you got to the point of making it or doing it, but it fails. And all of that comes back to building in public or failing in public, being ridiculed. And I know this is not the case for everyone. There's trolls all over the internet. But to this day, I've put out hundreds of pieces of video content. I've given hundreds of interviews. I've done hundreds of interviews. I've never had anyone be like awful to me. There's been bumps along the way and people are people and, different characteristics come into play, but I've never had anyone just be awful to me. And
right.
Now that I've done it for years, I'm like, okay, so I was thinking about myself. It was hidden because I was afraid of those things happening, not society, even though a lot of us are. It was me. And I'm like, if I was never looking to share what I was doing because of ridicule or being put down or being told I can't do it, or you tried to do it and you failed, haha, it kept me from just sharing thoughts. And I share thoughts like, I think it'd be cool one day to do X, Y, or Z. It's not even something in my pipeline. And I'm like, why wouldn't I share that? It's just an idea. I'm just sharing ideas. Why would I keep that to myself? All the way to, I put a lot of time into this and launched it and then it fails or succeeds. And what would I think, someone's opinion of that might be. So I think it's hidden because we're scared. We're scared of being vulnerable. We're scared of what other people think, but that really just translates into we're scared of what we think of ourselves. And mindset's a huge part of entrepreneurship, and mental health is too. So I think that's why. The next part, why didn't I see myself as bringing calmness or trust and just comfort, is because I wasn't paying close enough attention. After that data set, for lack of a better term, came in, I started reflecting on my life and my career. And I remembered all these times where I sat with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. I sat with local pastors giving out food and water in Flint, Michigan after the water crisis began. I sat with solopreneurs. I sat with people who had a 9-to-5 job and were trusting me to help them tell their story as they went into entrepreneurship. And in many different forms, but very similarly, had them say, just quit talking, Dan, you're hired. Like, I'm looking in your eyes. I trust you. I know you're going to do what you say. Like, I don't know why, but I'm seeing it. Let's just move forward. And I always thought that was weird. I relate it to like going out on a date and having someone say, hey, you want to come back to my place? And thinking like, yeah, that'd be great to share more time together, get to know each other more in the comfort of your house. Also, I don't know if you should like invite people back to your house when you first met them, you know? So I loved that they trusted me and they could feel that. But I also was kind of like, I don't know if that's the best idea. I know I can trust me, but it's a little weird that you can trust me on day one.
Right.
And I've had that happen in so many like business encounters right in front of my face, but I never really looked close enough to realize what was happening as I was bringing comfort and trust to people. So I just never saw it as a superpower. I always saw my skill set as a superpower, which is why nowadays those soft skills are what I consider to be what serves me really well. Next.
Can I offer you a hypothesis, another hypothesis?
Yeah.
I was thinking, and a